campus of Deptford High School in Deptford, New Jersey, Comcast Channel 5 presents high school football. Today, the Deptford Spartans host the Delsea Crusaders. Hello again, everyone. Rob Christ along with my partner, Shawn Leary. A beautiful fall afternoon, 70 degrees and sunny today for two teams that'll face each other in a big game today in the Tri-County Royal Division. Well, these two teams, both with solid records. We had Delsea earlier in the year in a loss versus Clearview. This is a game that they need, and Deptford continues to need to go on a roll. They have won 16 in a row. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting game. You know, no one's been able to knock off Deptford over the last couple of years. This team has such depth. It's built a program here by Al Oreo that's really second to none. He really shuffles in a lot of running backs, a lot of tailbacks, a lot of kids with great speed, athletic ability, and that's why Deptford, they fly to the ball on defense. That's why they've got the 16-game winning streak.
You talk about the Deptford defense. Oftentimes we talk about Deptford offense, but their Deptford defense is vaunted, have not given up double digits thus far this year, and for Delsea to break through that defense, it's going to be their leading rusher, Eric Money, that they'll look to.
Yeah, Eric Money's a real type of scat back. Once he gets to the outside, he's very dangerous. First 4 carries, he rushed for over 100 yards in his first game. This guy, once he touches the football, he's electrifying. He can go 90, 80, 70, doesn't matter where they are on the field. Money can take it the distance. He's that type of back. When you have him on your team, once you give him the football, it could be a quick 6 for you.
For Deptford, they have so many weapons. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Dewan Collins.
Yeah, Dewan Collins. Here's a guy that really was overshadowed last year. You had Mike Green, some of the bigger guys, Duckett, some big names on this Deptford team that took them to a championship season. They never even trailed last year. But really, Dewan Collins is a guy who flew under the radar, a guy who really, when he gets the football in his hand, he's a tough running back. He has that dual possession threat of not only having great speed, but he'll run over you as well, Rob. He's not afraid to take some contact. This is a guy, once you get the football in his hands, you really have no worries. You know this guy's going to secure the football. He's going to be able to do a good job for you. You know, he's had some tough luck with a couple of fumbles early on this season. Deptford has. That's the one thing you can say about him. They have had a couple of fumbles. But I think he's worked on that in the last couple of games. So I don't think that's a worry for them right now.
For this game, the key here, Delsea still needing to overcome the loss of Billy Pfeiffer. He was really the heart and soul of this team. As we mentioned, Eric Money's going to need to seal the deal here against a Deptford team that has been red hot and smoking. We'll have the opening kickoff for you right after this. Welcome back to Deptford High School. About to get underway here. Deptford against Delsea. It'll be Messner kicking off. Back to return. It will be Hartman. And it's a squib kick. And Deptford will fall on the ball. Delsea will start with great field position.
And down at that location.
And there you see the quarterback. That is George Dawson, 6'1", just a junior, 175 pounds. Dawson will direct the Crusader attack. Delsea, again, we had for you here on Channel 5 a couple weeks back in a tough, hard-fought loss to Clearview. And they're going to have to cut down on turnovers today against an excellent Deptford defense. Big hole right away, right up the gut for James Moton. Let's take a look at that offense that we spoke about. Dawson, Moton, and Kelly, and Eric Money, who we spoke about at the top. Your split end is Hartman. Your tight end is Williams, Caraba, Smashy, Gannon, Streeter, and Merlino in the trenches.
Nice time, or a nice block that time by Streeter up the middle. Along with tight end James Williams, do a great job. Pick up second in about 6.
Inside handoff, met in the backfield. James Moton. Let's take a look at that vaunted Deptford defense that we spoke about. Clement is outstanding. Blemmings, Blackshear, and Wood. Branson, Williams, your defensive end. Leafy, Clement, and Owens. And Curry, Collins, and Green. Dewan Collins and Jeff Green, strong part of that secondary.
Both these teams are so hard to run against. They both play a 5-2. But I really believe it's the linebackers that are going to be key in today's victory for whoever comes out of here with a win.
He third down, back to pass, good protection. Dawson, and it's picked off. Picked off as the ball just hung up there. We spoke about Jeff Green, and right on cue, he comes away with an interception. Jeff, we talked about Green. We also talked about having to negate turnovers. Again, right on cue, Deptford comes up big.
Green's 6'4", 175. He's just going to read this exceptionally well. He goes with his receiver to the outside, has a good jump on the ball. And this is, look at his athletic ability, stretching out for the ball. Here's a guy who loves getting the ball in his hands, and whenever he gets enough touches, the coaches are happy.
The handoff there. I tell you what, Deptford's Lance Moore got away with one there. It should have been a motion penalty. It was not called. Instead, a big pickup. Dawson on that throw. Just there you see Sheldon Johnson, the sophomore QB. Dawson on that throw just floated it. You can't do that against Green.
No, especially against Green. Yeah, we're talking about getting him touches, and that's the touches that the Deptford coaching staff wants to see from him. See if he's able to pick off a pass a game. They really are excited. They really like their chances against their opponents.
Second down, and again, that Deptford line just creating such a tremendous push. It's just too easy against this defense. Sheldon Johnson, we talked about. DeJuan Collins, over 50 offers. Ryan Leafy, Jeff Green, Lance Moore, and Jeff Clement, your tight end. Up front, Soper, Blackshear, House, Wood, and Cologne.
Yeah, they're out without Calvin Coursey, one of their top players. Delsea without Billy Pfeiffer, so that kind of negates it of having two of the star players out of today's game.
Again, a handoff, and they're just going right up the gut. DeJuan Collins, your ball carrier. There you see the Delsea defense. Streeter, Akins, Magaha, A.J. Jubb, and Melton Diggs up front. Moton, Kelly, Crenshaw, and Angelus. Hartman and Jackson, your two safeties.
Yeah, this Delsea defense, a good defense, but without Billy Pfeiffer, I think their loss of Pfeiffer is much greater than Deptford playing without Calvin Coursey. Pfeiffer, the heart and soul of this Delsea team, a great leader.
I don't think there's any question about that. There you see Al Orio, 3-0 this season. This team has won 16 in a row, as we mentioned at the top. They have a little ritual going on here that they do the number of push-ups after each game that they win for the streak. So should they win today, that would be 17 push-ups. And asked one of the coaches about it. He said, I don't know what you're talking about.
He has no idea. Believe me, they all know what the streak is and then how many wins they have in a row. But like any good coach, you really don't want to talk about that and jinx yourself.
Third down and short, and again, right up the middle, and a big pickup for Ryan Leafy. You know, again, this is a Deptford program that has so much pride and success throughout their entire athletic program. Now, last year, you see Deptford blank Delsea 22-0. Delsea finished up with a 9-2 mark. Again, one of the losses against this Deptford team who went undefeated and went on to win the South Jersey Championship. First down and 10. Again, cutting back inside and finally stopping him. DeJuan Collins, your ball carrier, stopped by a number of Delsea tacklers, and that's pretty much what you have to do against Collins.
Yeah, exactly. You have to go to the football. Delsea does a good job of that. They always have good team speed on defense. Maybe the only team with better speed is Deptford in the Rural Division. Deptford just flies around the football, as we already saw with Jeff Green picking off a pass. But that's what Delsea needs to do today. Make sure they fly around the football. They need a lot of emotion in this game. It's a huge rivalry game, and it's so important for the division. Deptford being undefeated, the Delsea win here would put 5 teams with 1 loss.
And keeping it for the touchdown, Sheldon Johnson breaks out on the scoreboard. Deptford on top early, 6-0.
I know we've heard a lot about this kid ever since he's been playing in the midget program. A lot of people have been talking about the name Sheldon Johnson. He gets his chance as a sophomore to start here.
And the kick is up, and it's good.
You know, Rob, I think that's a huge play. Deptford talking with Coach Pete Orio before the game, he says that scoring first is going to be very important in this game. To get up into this game and allow your defense to really sink their teeth into the opposing team is something that they wanted to see from their side. Obviously, if Delsea were to score first, they thought it would be a very big momentum boost for them as well.
I think,
Sheldon Johnson, and there you see the
team in the box.
Here you see this replay from Sheldon Johnson. I think he just straight up the middle, gets into the end zone. This is a sophomore. You take a look at him. Got a pretty nice size frame, but I think Sheldon Johnson, being a sophomore quarterback, getting the touchdown early on in a huge game is, I think, huge for Deptford in his conference.
Well, again, I think Deptford certainly has the edge in this game coming into it. And you talk about scoring first. Coach Orio emphasized the need to score first, but I think in all fairness, Delsea probably far more important for them to score first. You know, Sal Marquez joked before the game, asked him what the keys to today were, and he said to survive. And I think that's kind of the mindset here, is that Delsea realizes they're in for a bit of a dogfight.
Well, they know what they're up against, especially with getting blanked last year, 22-0. Deptford graduated a lot of its key players from last season, but they have so much depth coming back into this game.
Yeah, they haven't
that Delsea didn't want to see themselves go down 7-0, and then they start reliving, last year's game. There was 10 turnovers in that game. It was a sloppy game. It was wet at night, and Deptford was basically manhandled that Delsea team.
First down and 10 for the Crusaders. Dawson handoff, and again hit immediately in the backfield. That was Chris Blemmings.
I'll tell you what, a lot has been written over the last couple of years about Deptford and how good this team is. There you see a good reason why the Spartans have this streak going. You see them fly to the football defensively. Al Orio and the coaching staff always talks about defense here at Deptford. You know the old adage about defense wins championships. Well, you see how they get fired up and fly to the football, and there's usually 4 or 5 guys around the ball carrier.
Dawson fakes the handoff, getting pressure, throws it out in the flat, has a man. That's Moton, and a big pickup there.
To number 5, James.
Looks like they'll be very close, but shy of the first down.
Nice job by Dawson that time under a heavy rush. Able to put the ball on the numbers for Moton so he could turn upfield. It's going to be 30. Looks like about 4 or 5.
Inside handoff, and again, it's going to be tough going all day long for this Delsea offense, going right up the middle when you have the strength that this Deptford team has.
Yeah, one of the things that Delsea does well is they have that unbalanced attack where they try to go off tackle, and that really worked well in what we saw against Clearview in a game we had earlier this season on Channel 5. Delsea going off tackle with that little jet play where they were able to turn the corner.
Back to receive Lance Moore, and Collins fields at his 26 to the 30, a big block, still on his feet, cutting it back. Collins maintaining his balance, pushing forward, and a nice return by Collins. Collins returning punts for the first time this season. The first punt he returned, touchdown for 75 yards. That illustrates some of the athleticism of that young man, DeJuan Collins. He goes 195 and bench presses a heady 350 pounds. There you see Deptford this year. They have outscored their opponents considerably, 61 points to be exact. First and 10. Again, it's Collins, and he's stopped after a pickup of about 2.
Collins, number 6, how dangerous is he? Once he gets his hands on the football, he has great vision, great balance, he has speed, he can run over you. So many tools in his repertoire that he's such a dangerous back. Probably the most feared back right now in the Tri-County Rural Division.
Handoff again, Collins, and There's what Collins does that is so effective. There's Sal Marquez, 2-1 this year. He has the headset on. Talked about before. He likes to call the plays from up top. Tackle made there by Mickey Akins, and we talked before. Collins so strong. There you see Mickey Akins. You know, Collins 195 dragging a guy 215 pounds for an additional 3-4 yards. 3rd down, 5. All play to Collins. Collins cuts it back inside, still on his feet, and more than enough for the 1st down.
That play worked to perfection. That's exactly the way you draw it up. Both defensive ends fire up the field. That opens up the middle. The guards and tackles do their job up front. At that time, you're thinking that possibly this could be a pass, so the linebackers are backing up and on their heels. It's good enough for a 1st down. Terrific play call.
1st and 10, Deptford. Hand off again, Collins. And he's met in the backfield, but again, pushing forward and picking up positive yardage. And again, I say this all the time, Shawn, but again, that's the mark of an outstanding runner. It's not the big runs, but it's when you're stopped and you pick up an additional 3-4 yards. It not only creates good opportunities for you offensively, but it really wears down the defense.
Absolutely. Those 2-3 extra yards, you know, if you get them on consecutive plays, you got yourself in a 3rd and short, as opposed to getting hit and dropped the first time. You could be looking at 3rd and long.
Not much there, and we have a flag down. It's in the area of holding.
See, I know we have a flag on the play, but you had two plays really that didn't look like much was going to come out of either one of them. But just a little bit of effort by the running backs would have put them in a 3rd and, you know, a possibly 4 or 5 yard situation. Well, now they're looking at something a little greater.
We have a hold on the offense. Repeat the down, 10 yards back.
2nd down here. That was Mark Clement, the ball carrier. And again, typically you have one Division I prospect if you're lucky as a coach. And maybe he's borderline Division I prospect. Deptford has 2 flat-out studs in Clement and Collins.
Yeah, and recently we've seen that just from our area. There's a couple of guys that have gone on to play Division I, and even some guys getting in. You know, Chris Presley up in Wisconsin, he's getting a little playing time. You have Tom Walls of Boston College and Mike Green, who is at Virginia Tech. He's had a little bit of a problem with a bleeding ulcer.
Nice pass as Johnson connects with Jeff Clement.
Clement, what a specimen he is. Look at him. It is one big dude. Stands at about 6'4", 6'5", strong as an ox. That's right, an ox. I'd put him up against any ox. This guy he's huge. He's a big target. He can catch the football. That's what a lot of D1 coaches like about him.
You saw he had good hands there. Here's Johnson. He rolls out, has time, has a man, and just overthrows his receiver, looking for Jeff Green.
Well, he had Lance Moore wide open down the sideline. If he was able, I think he was looking for Green on that play, but Moore was wide open. There you see Moore coming back to the huddle. That was 6 if he was able to string it out to him.
He was more open than Green.
Very open, much more open than Green. It would have been a sure 6 if he was able to get it out to him.
4th down, punting situation now for Deptford. Back to receive Delsea, and they're going to go coffin corner away from Delsea's Mike Hartman. And that'll roll out of bounds just inside the 20-yard line, so Delsea will get the football here. We're in the 1st quarter with 2:25 remaining. Deptford on top by 7.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of emotion from either side, and especially from Delsea. You know, Deptford scores, and it was kind of like a workman-like attitude. No one doing too much celebrating, getting too excited over scoring. And Delsea just, you know, I'm sure they're focused in on what they're doing, but they don't seem like they're playing with a lot of emotion here.
1st down. Hand off. That's Jackson. Jackson strings it outside, and he is punished. We might have a face mask. Kevin Jackson. And that's a play you talked about before. Deptford, maybe with the only team that matches up speed-wise with Delsea.
Yeah, you know, once they get to the outside, Moton and Money, both of them, have terrific speed once they turn the corner. And what Deptford does extremely well with their defensive ends is they get a push upfield. They run as good as anybody east to west.
Only 5 yards. It is declined. Second down.
So there was a face mask, but it was against Delsea.
They declined the penalty. It's going to bring up about second 8 or 9.
Let's roll. Let's roll. We got to go back to the wall.
Approaching the 2-minute mark remaining in this first quarter.
Let's go. 3 now. 3 now. Up, down, slip. Up, down, slip. Right there. Inside.
Again, a quick hitter inside and pushing forward, working and earning every single yard, James Moton.
Yeah,
nothing's coming easy thus far for Delsea.
No, and it isn't all year. And the reason being is without Pfeiffer in the lineup, of course you lose a guy with his talent and his skill you want to have on the football field, his leadership qualities, but also his blocking ability at fullback. You know, you talk about how great of a linebacker he is, and I mean, just tremendous. Probably would battle Clement as one of the top defensive players in the county. However, without having him back there at fullback, you don't have that big, powerful fullback taking on the linebacker, and that's really hampered the Delsea offensive attack.
Third down, and again, Moton hammered, but it looks like he'll have enough for the first down.
And what you're seeing, what Delsea's had to do is really change what they do, because not only has Pfeiffer been injured, but they've had a couple of his backups at fullback injured. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's 4. I believe 4 guys were lost, either because guys didn't either come out for the team or something happened, guys got injured at fullback and linebacker position. So not only use the first, the second, third string, they're really working with guys who shouldn't be ready to play varsity football yet.
First down and 10, Jackson in motion. Again, the handoff right up the middle. Moton into the secondary. More than enough for the first down. Delsea starting to generate some momentum.
They have a little momentum. What I really like about, and this is a mark of, this shows how great of a coach at San Marquez. You're going to see a lot of quick hitters now. Because they don't have that fullback really powered, they just have to have all these quick hitters. Everything's quick. Everything straight up the middle, quick dive plays, get to the outside. Nothing to really set up the fullback to go in there, get the block, and then allow the ball carrier to pick and choose his holes. Delsea's had to readjust, but when you have a coaching staff like Delsea does, you're able to do that.
First and 10, quarterback keeper around the end. And again, a big play here for Delsea. That'll do it for the first quarter, a well-played first quarter. Deptford on the back of their quarterback, Sheldon Johnson, lead Delsea 7-0. Welcome back to Deptford High School. We start the second quarter. Delsea marching, ball at their 48-yard line. They trailed Deptford 7-0. Moton, he's been the workhorse, and he's been effective here on this drive. And another big pickup, close to 10 yards. Delsea now starting to create some holes up front.
Do you notice, Rob, how everything's quick? All the running plays that they have, it's all quick plays. Everything's based on speed. And what they're able to do, and what they're doing pretty well, is the linemen are firing off the ball. And in this situation, you don't have to hold your blocks as long, you know, because you don't have to wait for the fullback to come through, then the running back. Everything's quick, all quick hitters.
And we have a motion penalty here. So,
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5 yards.
I think senior Brandon Cranshaw just a little too excited to get that play going. Somebody's excited here, though. It's surprising. This is a Deptford-Delsea game, and cheerleaders are doing their best, but there doesn't seem like there's a lot of life right now in the stadium with the players, the fans.
Delsea really has to eliminate mistakes to be successful today. They've already had a turnover, and penalties certainly a mistake because they were generating momentum. They can't get into 1st and 15s and hope to be successful against this defense. And again, a miscommunication.
A lot of confusion right now with Delsea.
Timeout.
You see the fans, huh? They hold a 7-0 lead on this side with Deptford holding the lead. The cheerleaders are cheering, but
we've talked about this Deptford defense. They started the season a big win, 28-8 over Kingsway. And then the following week, an Overbrook team that isn't as strong as last year defeated the Overbrook Rams 31-7. High School Sports Report, Wednesdays at 7:30 and 10 p.m. The inimitable John Mondelli, flanked by Mark Narducci.
Yeah. Good looking guys there. Like John's little, he does that at the end of each thing. It's a little trademark thing. I like that move. I think he quit doing it a couple years ago, but
maybe because you liked it so.
I don't know, maybe, but I think I need to do it. One of them trademark. Yeah, I got to think up something. A little trademark thing. We'll think one up.
Maybe we can have our viewers email in what Shawn should do as his trademark.
There you go.
Handoff through traffic down the sideline. One man to beat, cuts it back against Collins, and finally brought down. Quite a run by Delsea's Eric Money. Well, we previewed just what Money can bring to Delsea, and it's paid off.
I like that one. Nice run that time. And Delsea's side now a little excited as they get a big play. And that's what Money brings you. Once he gets into the open field route, he's so shifty with it. He's got that little body that with those little legs. Once he makes those moves, Deptford really just it's not a good matchup for a cornerback.
1st and 10. Fake handoff, roll out, and throwing behind his receiver is the quarterback, Dawson. He had a man, but a little late on the throw, and as a result, it falls incomplete. Anthony Silvestri open on that play.
Yeah, and I don't think I think the player was a little bit behind him, so he had to kind of throw across his body a little bit. Wasn't able to get anything on the throw. But I like the play call, though. A little play action pass. Deptford knows that could work against him today.
Dawson, at this point, hasn't really illustrated much arm strength. He has to make up for that arm strength by anticipation and getting rid of that ball earlier. We saw that in the first quarter when Green intercepted. There's the handoff. Jackson around the end. He'll hesitate and try to cut it back inside, but you are not going to elude Jeff Clement.
No, he just swallows him up that time. Ball carrier tries to get to the outside, and Clement's just there waiting for him. There you see Kevin Jackson.
He just got engulfed in a black cloud.
Yeah, that's not a nice sight. You turn the corner, and there's number 83 staring right at you.
That little hesitation, I think, cost Jackson because I think he had a little room outside, but tried to cut it back in, and there was just nothing there for him. Inside handoff, Moton drops the football, and that ball is recovered by Deptford.
We're going to see.
And now, finally, the referees do indicate Deptford with possession.
They award the fumble, but I'm not too sure if his knee might have been down or not. There wasn't a whole lot of arguments by the Delsea side.
From up here, it did look like a fumble, but the referees really didn't indicate. So here it is. And you see just before he goes down that the ball was loose.
He kind of fell toward going on his back, so his knees were not down before that ball came out.
Well, again, we talked about the need for Delsea to eliminate any mistakes. They've already had 2 turnovers here, and it has cost them.
Well, that's it. Any big game, that's what both coaches will tell you. Whoever wins the turnover battle should probably win the game. Last year, 10 turnovers in the game, as I stated earlier. It was a wet night, and Deptford's really had a problem with that through the first couple of games of the season. But they've really worked on it in practices. They've had stripping drills, different kind of drills and workouts to ensure that they don't give up the football as much as they have in the early going.
You may want to explain the stripping drills.
That's just what.
That's what got the Rutgers basketball coach into trouble.
Yeah, that's a different type of. I'll leave that one to you.
I'm not sure where you're going with that.
Hey, I just went with it. I was just telling you what I was told. Stripping drills in practice. That's when they have the football in their hand, and you try to run through the coaches, and the coaches are batting at the football, trying to get the football loose, and that's just trying to get your arm strength and make sure you got that ball secure, so you don't continue to fumble the way they have. And there's a good indication where you could have a problem. As you see Johnson, little experience, kind of put that football out a little bit. I don't know if we got a shot of it, but he kind of leans forward and has that football out, and that's where you have problems. If you don't tuck that ball in there and you leave the football out, it becomes very easy for a linebacker or anybody coming in to bash your arm down and strip the football out.
Deptford forced to call timeout here. 8:24 remaining, second quarter. Deptford on top by 7. Welcome back to Deptford High School. Rob Christ along with Shawn Leary. Deptford on top 7-0 after calling timeout. First down and 10 for the Spartans. And here's the option. Johnson eludes one tackler, but he won't elude the second tackler. That, Joe Gregory.
Sheldon Johnson's a sophomore, stands 6'1", 180. And as a sophomore, he's just really going to grow into his body. He's at 6'1". You're going to have a nice-sized quarterback here for the next couple of years. They're really excited about Sheldon. And Sheldon's a guy that people have been looking at for years. And there's his coach, quarterback's coach, Pat Landis, a former quarterback at Clearview.
Second down, Collins. And again, Collins, where it seems like there's nothing, picks up 2-3 more yards.
I know Coach Landis is really excited about Sheldon Johnson and his prospects. And now he's going to mature into not only a leader on the team, but being able to throw the football. We already saw that he has a lively arm. And I know working with a coach like Landis, he's only going to get better. Landis also had some good size as a Clearview quarterback.
You can't say enough about what this Deptford coaching staff has done with this program. Third down. Again, the handoff inside, and
a pile in the middle.
You're right, Rob. Close to a first down.
What I think is most impressive about the Deptford coaching staff and what Al Orio has done here is he's created, a lot of coaches talk about the family atmosphere. Well, none is greater than here at Deptford. He instituted a study hall, a team study hall, where they kind of help each other and improve the academic focus of the team. They have the pre-game meal on a Friday night that they all sit down at the cafeteria and have dinner together. Last night, Al took them to see Friday Night Lights, the new movie that's out. And that's just trying to get some team unity. And I asked him why he did that. He said he just wants the guys to see him in a different way. They know him as Coach Orio, but they kind of, he wanted to allow his team to see what he's like when he's out away from, the school, and get to know him.
I think that is so important. When I was at Gateway, every year we would have a trip before the season started, bring the whole varsity together, and we would go out. And in part maybe to see me differently, but I think it was so more important for these guys to go out and become friends. And I think it always pays dividends. Again, at Eastern last year, we went on a trip to Cooperstown. This year, I think we're going to go down to Florida. And what the important element is that there's this sense of brotherhood that evolves, and I think that pays huge dividends down on the athletic field.
Well, you're telling these kids, trust me, you got to do this, you got to do that, you can't do this, you have to do that, and you're really barking out commands at them all the time. If they don't have any trust in you and say, is coach really going to go to bat for me once it comes time for, let's say, me going to make a college decision or moving on after school, if I could come with them with advice, or is basically once football's over, looks like they got the first down on the spot.
That'll be very close.
And it is going to be close. When you have when you're barking out all these commands, you want to make sure that the kids can trust you. And I think that at Deptford here, especially what Coach Orio has done, his most important attribute, I think, to the program and to Deptford High School was his ability to find these kids a secondary education in college. He's gotten so many kids into college, whether it be Division 1, 2, 3. That is his most important tool. When you say, what does Al Orio possess as a coach, that's the first thing that he wants to be remembered by.
1st and 10 for Deptford. Back to pass. Johnson throws it up, has a man, and good coverage there, right on the money. Lance Moore, the intended receiver, but excellent coverage as Jackson and Hartman back to defend.
Yeah, it looked like Hartman was running
stride for stride
with him down the sidelines, and you're right, terrific coverage. But we saw the arm strength of Sheldon Johnson just floats it out there, Rob, and that was pretty much on point. I mean, it pretty much hit the runner just over the outstretched arms, but nice ball by the young man.
2nd down and 10. I formation for the Spartans. Handoff Collins. Collins hitting the backfield, bounces off one tackler, and they tackle the football. Collins forced to kind of go down. That's exactly what you talked about earlier, Shawn.
Talking about securing the football, and a lot of people have been talking the one knock on Collins in the beginning of the year is the couple of fumbles that they've had.
3rd and short.
What they've
double
done,
sticks.
Something a lot of people you don't really think about too much is Deptford's going to a new football this season. It's the same football that they use in the playoffs. They're using a Wilson 1001. And last year, they used one particular football throughout the entire season. Once they get to the playoffs, they're using a different football altogether. So now they've gone to this other football. So they attributed that and playing at night.
Screen pass, and staying home and sniffing that out is Russell Streeter. Streeter read that play all the way. Ryan Leafy, the receiver, but a solid defensive stand by the Crusaders.
Yeah, there wasn't much Leafy could do. Turn around and you see Streeter right in your face. Nice job by Streeter staying home, reading the screen.
Punt away, and a fair catch called by Hartman. A little surprised that Hartman calls the fair catch there. Had some room, but did the sure thing. Delsea starts at the 20-yard line. They have 3:12 remaining in this quarter.
Snowball.
Again, Delsea with an offense similar to Kingsway's last night in that it's going to probably take all of the 3:12 to get down the field.
Yeah, they're not a quick strike team. They can move the football in chunks of yardage, and we've already seen Money, who has the ability to break away. But they're not a team that's going to pass much. Dawson, not used to throwing the ball many times during the game. They don't really have to.
Inside, and about a 5-yard pickup for Delsea. That was money.
But I have seen Dawson in critical situations. We saw them last season in the playoffs, and he orchestrated a couple of drives. And I think I believe it was against Hamilton. And he did a terrific job of getting his team downfield. So he does have the capabilities of throwing the football. He just needs some targets to get it to.
This time a keeper. Johnson bouncing off tacklers, and he may have picked up a yard, but that's about it. So, if you're Delsea, you want to pick up at least one first down here, Shawn, so Deptford does not have an opportunity to score before going into the locker room.
And they really haven't tried to get the ball to Crenshaw much. Crenshaw, I think, is a guy who really can blossom this year. He's a senior, 6'2", 185. That'll split out. With a guy at 6'2", you certainly have to like his size. He's not in the game right now. But look for him at some point in time to be instituted in the offense. Maybe go downfield with him.
Again, a handoff inside. Moton still on his feet, driving forward. Moton, and he'll have more than enough for the first down.
What desire that time by Moton, just driving into people, using his legs.
There was a flag. This may have been a face mask. It's a hold against Delsea, so that's going to hurt the Crusaders.
We have a push from behind on the offense. Repeat the down, 10 yards.
That's a big penalty on Delsea. Now 1:44 left. They're eating the clock up a little bit. Deptford won't have a lot of time to work with if they're able to stop them here and force a punt. If Delsea did have a first down and give the ball to Money a couple of times, maybe go up top, try and tie this game.
One of the things in high school football is if you have a penalty, that does not stop the clock. And if I was Deptford, I would likely call a timeout here, but they're not going to do that, as now we're under the 1:30 mark. Third down for the Crusaders. Again, the handoff, Moton, and he will come very close to the first down. It looks from here that he has it.
Yeah, they've been able to run up the middle. They've done a nice job. There you see Coursey. He has that ankle sprain. 113 yards, 4.9. But he's like I talked about Delsea, same type of situation. You don't have that big fullback in there opening up the holes. No one's more disappointed than DeJuan Collins on that Deptford side to see Coursey not in action. Have that big fullback be able to power his way, try and open some holes.
Again, Moton. And now this Delsea line starting to get a much better push.
Yeah, they're just able to hold their block just for a split second. Moton doing a nice job of busting through it.
This game kind of has the feel of last night's game. Deptford coming right down the field and scoring just like Gloucester Catholic. And after that, kind of a momentum boost for the team that got scored upon.
Yeah, Delsea's been able to move the football, and surprisingly, I think, up through the middle.
Again, up through the middle. And pick up of 2 or 3. Looks to be shy of the first down, but I don't think it's going to matter here as the clock continues to run, and I think both teams content to call it a half.
Need to make it beyond the 41.
Well, whistle blows, and that'll do it for this first half. Deptford on top of Delsea, 7-0. Welcome back to Deptford High School. Deptford on top of Delsea, 7-0. About to begin the second half. Delsea will kick to Deptford. Deptford scored in the first quarter on the strength of a quarterback keep by Sheldon Johnson. And that's been all the scoring thus far. Kicking it away. It will be Hartman back to receive. And taking it in for Deptford, that's Bruce Owens. Owens still on his feet, breaking one tackle, and finally knocked down at the 28-yard line by Delsea's Lavin.
Bruce Owens, the track star, not only in Gloucester County, South Jersey, an incredible speed burner. This guy is, once he gets his hands on the football, if he can get a little bit of room, forget it, you're not going to catch this guy. Bruce Owens is a guy that could become a factor at some point in time during the season for this Deptford Spartans team. He's a guy who has blazing speed and he loves the game of football. and he wants to be more of a part of it. And you see him coming into the lineup. Deptford just has so many weapons. That's what makes them so good, the depth that they have on this team. And the coaching staff isn't afraid to put a new guy in there and shuffle him in and out to get some different guys some touches. So that keeps them fresh consistently, and that's what they hang their hat on. They say, towards the end of the game, our guys are fresh. Our guys are still ready to go, and they're stuck in a situation where, you got the same guys, especially if you got a team like Clearview who plays two ways. At the end of the game, they're exhausted. Deptford's just reshuffling their guys in.
Problem with the clock. It's reset now to 11:45. First down and 10 for the Spartans. Big hole here. Dewan Collins picking up right where he left off. Too easy. A pickup of about 7.
Now, I talked about this already this season, about running with your head up as a running back. Dewan Collins does a great job of this. When he runs through a hole, he has his head up, and as you see him through this game, you take notice of the way he runs. He seems like he's almost glides out there. It seems like it's very easy for him, and he's running fast. But however, he just keeps his head up. He looks for the holes, and that's why he gains over 100 yards a game.
And a penalty flag here. I tell you what, someone in the backfield got away with one as well, but they didn't miss the one at the line. That'll back this play up to about where this drive started.
Delsea talks about not making mistakes, not hurting themselves with the penalty flags. And Deptford's been the one here so far today. It's kind of stalled a couple of their drives. You get yourself in a second and long situation. It's not easy to come back from against a defense
we have a
like
hole
Delsea.
on the offense. Repeat the down. First down. Second down.
So they'll back it up. It'll be second down. Looks to be about 11 now. Second and 11.
Okay, we're repeating it down. Second down. First down.
Lined up. Far left, it's Jeff Green. One setback. It's Collins. Looking for Green, throws it up into double coverage. Jackson in good shape, but he catches it, does Green. Over Jackson, who seemed to mistime his jump. He was in perfect shape. There is 2 penalty flags down, however. The last game we did, Shawn, Jackson had 4 interception opportunities, came away with none of them. Again, there, he was in great shape to pull that one down.
Yeah, he's just, and that's just the confidence thing. Not, you're uncertain, you're getting a little nervous, your belly, you get them butterflies in your belly when the ball comes to you. And that time, Green just goes up and gets the ball.
Dead ball, personal foul, late hit on White. Okay, tacked on to the end of the run.
So a personal foul, 15 more yards on top of that reception. A late hit. And again, you just mentioned it, Shawn. Eliminate mistakes. They can't afford this.
Yeah, they certainly can't afford to make mistakes, Delsea. They're having trouble scoring as it is. They can't get behind. Get there. Look at how excited she is. There you go. This little jump. I was practicing that during halftime. I throw that out. That might be my thing I was looking for, my trademark. I might do that after the opens from now on. Do one of those right there.
Just warn me beforehand. You do the opens in the outfit too?
I don't know about that. It's better than what I got on anyway. Now maybe I might try.
First down and 10, and all of a sudden, Deptford knocking on the door. Ball spotted at the 18-yard line. Handoff, Collins tripped up in the backfield, not much there.
Going back to that last play on Green, that's like what they call in soccer, them 50-50 balls, where you go up and who knows who's going to come away with getting the header on the ball in soccer. In this case, it's who's going to come down with it. You're just basically throwing up, and that you have to have confidence in your receiver to be able to have a play like that. And that's why they do have the confidence in Jeff Green to be able to go up and get the football. We talked to Al Orio before the game. We talked about Green, and Al said, we got to find more ways to get this guy the ball. He wants the ball. We got to do a better job of trying to get him the ball.
Handoff, Collins again outside, and unable to shed the tackle. of Russell Streeter. Streeter has come up with a couple big hits today.
Yeah, Streeter 6'1", 205. And he's really had to take on that responsibility of being a big team leader on defense without Pfeiffer in there. And Streeter's another guy who excels during the spring season in track. And he's adding football to being a two-sport star for the red and white.
3rd down, 7. Collins, 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 tackles, and very close to a 1st down.
Well, that time he just eludes Streeter. Streeter gets the push that he wants to, but he falls at his feet. And, look at the calves. Oh, Dewan Collins there. Look at those calves. You can't go low on this guy.
Tree stumps. 4th down, and Deptford, as a field goal kicker, has been effective. Hasn't missed yet this year, but this kind of gives you some sense of the confidence they have in this offensive line, and Deptford will call timeout. 4th down and 2.
Timeout requested, offense.
Well, we saw last night, Sean, Gloucester Catholic rolled the dice a few times on 4th down and came away successfully.
There's one little bit of difference. They don't have, Deptford doesn't have Plum on this team, where they could go to the air on 4th down. AC Deptfard, they started off with Kingsway, Overbrook, and had a tough game against Clearview last week. I know they had some turnovers and wanted to try and eliminate them coming into this game against Delsea, but then it gets a little bit easier with Cumberland. That's going to be an interesting game against Gloucester Catholic, sandwiched with Highland in there. And then what's going to be real interesting is that November 5th game at Williamstown. Williamstown can go into that game with 1 loss on its schedule if they're able to knock off Clearview. That might be a game down the road that a lot of people are going to have their eye on circling. Williamstown's a team that has tremendous athletes at the skill positions. Team that has had a lot of experience. They've had the sophomore class that played at sophomores, juniors, and now seniors. And with Sampson and Holt in that backfield, they're as good as any.
4th down, a bit of a mix-up keeper, and that should be enough for the 1st down, as Johnson seemed like he got tangled up a little bit with Leafy. That was a designed play.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't designed to have Leafy run into him.
Yeah, they kind of they might have bumped into each other a little bit, but I like the way Johnson, as a sophomore, he has some composure. He doesn't force anything, doesn't get too nervous. He waits for the play to develop, throws himself for a 1st down.
1st and goal. Collins, the handoff. Collins through the line, pushing forward, and he'll be shy of the goal line. Stopped at about the 2. Approaching 8 minutes remaining.
This is where Delsea, through the years, they've had guys like Greg Wynn and Gashow and Lex, guys that were in that interior of the defensive line that really dug their cleats into the ground and would have a goal line stand. They need that type of effort right now. Already trailing 7-0.
Sheldon Johnson keeps, and again, will not get in. A little extracurricular activity afterwards.
I'd go to it again. Sheldon Johnson at 6'1". Very athletic. He just has to be careful. You don't try to outstretch that ball and get it stripped in the situation. But why not? Go straight up the middle again. Of course, you could always hand it off to Dewan Collins. They have a lot of options down toward the goal line. You would expect, and this is probably 4-down territory, they probably have 2 downs to try and make the score.
Same alignment. Johnson keeps. Johnson. Touchdown.
I love the call. I love the call. Go back to Johnson again. The shortest point between A and B is straight ahead. You don't give the defense time to penetrate the line. If you hand off to the running back, a number of things can happen. You can have a mishap, trying to get the ball to Collins, and a fumble, possible fumble. Snap it back to Johnson, let the 6'1" guy punch it in.
A low kick, and that's blocked.
That's his first miss this year.
7:04 remaining 3rd quarter. Deptford now on top, 13-0.
Delsea, nothing.
You know, on your own side.
Welcome back to Deptford High School. Deptford on top 13-0. 2 touchdowns by the quarterback Sheldon Johnson, the difference. The last extra point blocked by Delsea. And now the kickoff. Hartman fields at about his 10. Picks a seam and heads out to about the 25-yard line. Delsea with 1st and 10. Delsea's going to be hard-pressed to mount 2 long drives against this vaunted Deptford defense.
Yeah, they just don't give up many points, Deptford. I mean, Delsea has the capabilities of putting together a couple of drives. This team hasn't had the success they've had over the years because they don't have players on this team. I mean, the loss of Pfeiffer was a big one, but there's still guys that can get it done for them. But the Deptford defense is just overwhelming against any team.
Well, Moton's had a good day, and it'll continue. He's really been the bright spot of this Delsea offense today.
They've done a terrific job, and, you know, talking with the Deptford coaches before the game, they said the unbalanced attack, the linebackers have to recognize along with Green and see where that play is going to develop, because that's where you can get yourself in trouble. But in those situations, you're thinking if it's unbalanced, you know, they're going to try to scoot to the outside. Delsea has had a terrific attack straight up the middle so far today.
This is a good passing down, 2nd down and short. Dawson will hand it off, and that'll be enough for the 1st down. So Delsea moves the chains.
You know, one of the things Delsea's doing, and I don't know if this will get it done for them, they're having success running up the middle. They're, you know, 1st down again, 6-7 yards with Moton. However, you know, if you continue to do that and you're only picking up 10, 11 yards and 2 or 3 downs, eventually Deptford's going to stop you and force you to punt. Or you're going to pick up a penalty and something's going to happen where you have a miscue. Deptford makes you drive the distance. Therefore, in a couple of times doing that, you're going to make your own mistakes.
1st and 10, Jackson, and he's thrown for a loss. Well, Moton has been successful today, as has Money. But Jackson thrown for a loss. You know, you talked about Delsea being successful up front. Remember that this is a Delsea team that only has 1 starter returning from last year, so very young up front, very inexperienced.
Yeah.
But they've been relatively effective today. Remember, it was a turnover towards the end zone that really stopped that Delsea drive. Pitch. And to the outside, and more than enough for the 1st down there. That's Flavin. It's a late addition to this lineup.
Yeah, they said he's going to get some touches, maybe go in and play a little defense as well. Transfer from Cumberland. Yeah, that chain doesn't look like it's feeling so good. Usually you see the ball carrier get the short end of that. That looks like that stick.
Short end of that stick.
Yeah.
Some confusion on the field now.
Yeah, they were there. I think they're going to have to check that flag.
They may measure.
Not with that thing. That thing's all bent up.
Yeah, which end do you measure with?
Officials timeout.
It's leaning against Delsea in this, that they have enough time. Maybe they could switch ends. I talked about earlier about Mike Green, who had a bleeding ulcer.
Gonna measure.
You know, that's a bad thing. The good thing is he's going to get his year back, and they could still redshirt him. But Mike Green down at Virginia Tech with that bleeding ulcer, he wasn't, and he really thought that he had a chance to maybe get some time down there as a freshman. But you know, he had some health problems, some health issues, and apparently he's going to be able to get back, you know, to 100%.
I'm always surprised at the local kids that go down to Virginia Tech, because Virginia Tech is in the middle of nowhere. And now that they're not in the Big East, it's not like they're coming up this way anymore. So
no, but they're not coming up. But the fact that they're going to the ACC, and the ACC now with Florida State, Miami, I mean, you're playing against some big-time competition that's only going to make those guys better. It gives them a chance to, I mean, if you have a great season, you knock off those teams, you're a shoo-in for a national championship.
It'll be interesting to see how Virginia Tech does in the ACC. I think they're going to have a tough time recruiting now, I think, down in the southern part of the region, East Coast. Keeper, and that should be enough for the first down.
Well, I like the recruit they got right here from Deptford. Mike Green was a monster.
No question.
In the middle of the Deptford defense, and now they're allowing him to play a little, or they want him to play some fullback down there. In fact, they just had a guy, Doug Eastlick, who was a fullback down at Virginia Tech, I believe.
He was from Cherokee.
From Cherokee, who just recently was released by the Miami Dolphins, but he got a cup of coffee in the NFL.
He's a great story. He was a walk-on at Virginia Tech and signed as a free agent by the Dolphins. And now, of course, he's on the Dolphins practice squad.
Well, we're getting up to the minute news. Eastlick, who was released last week.
Stan Ritter ticker. John Mondelli ticker.
John Mondelli coming in.
That's why you have
to
watch the high school sports report.
Yeah, you would find that information.
You get a little bit of everything from John Mondelli.
You don't get that anymore, but
no, well, almost a little bit of everything.
We're going to try and push that for that to make a comeback.
Well, he's promised to do that for you this week, Sean.
I'm looking forward to it. I got my VCR already set.
TiVo.
TiVo?
TiVo.
Oh, I thought you were giving me a nickname. I kind of like TiVo.
Back to pass. Dawson has a man wide open. He hits him. All alone. Hartman touchdown.
No flags. And we talked about the arm strength of Dawson, that maybe he needed to go downfield and whether he had the capabilities of getting it downfield. He certainly did that time. Hartman beat the defense. He was behind everyone, and that's a rule.
Right.
That coaches are going to tell their defensive players, do not let the receiver get behind you. They did on that play.
If you watch the defense, instead of going to the ball, they started to backpedal. And as a result, that should have been an interception, just like the play earlier with Jackson. Instead, it results in 6 points, and Delsea is quickly back in this football game. On to attempt the point after now. The kick is up, and it is wide left. So Cargman misses. And let's take a look at this pass. Watch the defenders on this, Sean.
Great blocking up front, too. Dawson has enough time to get back, release, a perfect ball. Gets behind the defenders. You see a couple of guys on the sidelines holding their head. They got to be wondering, what the heck happened there? This is not like Deptford football, making a mistake like that, allowing the receiver to get behind the defense. And the result is 6 points now, and that certainly put a spark into the Delsea Crusader sideline. They got to be ecstatic about getting back into this one, having an opportunity now with 4:07 left in the third, plenty of time.
52-yard connection.
Well, we always get a chance to see some of the coaches usually come through the booth and go upstairs, and we ask Sal Marquez, what's your strategy in the second half? And simply stated, we got to score. You got
Plan A is
that's why he's a great coach.
Accomplished.
This is what we have to do, and they come out and able to score. You see a good look at the Deptford sidelines. See some of the coaches there. There's Joe Hollywood up front. See him in the hat. The wrestling coach here was an outstanding wrestler in his own right.
Kick is away. Back to receive. It's Deptford's Curry. Curry, a lot of room. Cuts it back inside. Curry towards the sideline. And Curry brought down at the 40.
Because Curry takes that ball on the 11. Advances it to...
Well, Sean, you ask for some excitement, and you can sense that things have picked up. It's palpable.
By Kevin Jackson.
A little amped up a little bit now, with a little bit of excitement on both sides. People are starting to
First and 10 at the
get excited now. A touchdown deficit now by Delsea. They got to kind of dig in here.
First down, 10. Spartans at the 42. Play action pass. Johnson throws it up into coverage, tipped up. And Brandon Crenshaw got his hand on the football, could not corral it.
You could see from the time that play developed, Sheldon Johnson really didn't have much on the outside. Delsea did a great job reading it. Clement wanted that ball more to the outside. I don't know if he was open. He would have had to have a pinpoint pass from young Sheldon Johnson.
Delsea has done a good job today, stopping that first down pass. What they haven't done a good job is denying the second down ball carry, because it's typically been a run, a small chunk of yardage. Again, Collins, there you see it, easily into the secondary. Collins with more than enough for the first down.
Jeff Clement steals that corner as good as anybody. He certainly did at that time, along with Joshua Soper, 6'3", 283-pound lineman. There you see him, number 53. They do a great job on the left-hand side. Watch them seal this here. Clement and Soper seal the corner. DeJuan Collins, man, that's as big a hole as you're going to find.
He didn't just seal it, that was watertight. Leak-proof. 1st and 10, 40-yard line, Deptford. Again, it's Collins, and bobbles the football, and Moton showing some emotion out there. Pumps the fist, and that's what Delsea needs, some big stops defensively, but again, it's been second down that has really hurt the Crusader defense.
Well, we haven't seen much life early in the first half, but all of a sudden it seems like these teams have awakened a little bit here.
That's typical high school student, wakes up about 3 o'clock. Second down, 12, I formation, Johnson, hands off, Collins again, second down, big carry, Johnson, and carries Jackson out of bounds.
What push they're getting from the left-hand side with Clement and Green that time. I mean, that's just too easy right now for Collins.
Second down is killing this Delsea team.
We're talking about sealing the corner. I mean, this left-hand side of the line is just blowing Delsea completely off the ball, and that time you even get it with a wide receiver, Green, coming over and giving a great block to Spring Collins for an extra 5 or 6.
2:46, Deptford on the march. Johnson inside, Leafy right up the middle, Leafy towards the end zone, and brought down at about the 5.
This is why this team is on their way to another Group 3 playoff and another chance at a title run, is because when somebody answers them, they come right back. March down the field, and it looked like almost that ball was fumbled. A little bit of mishandle by Sheldon Johnson from the center. They're able to regroup, hand the ball off to Leafy, and he scampers.
Johnson again, I formation. Collins pushing forward. They'll pick up 1 or 2.
Well, the Delsea defense certainly has to stiffen now. See, Delsea, see how Deptford is? You're scoring them, that just angers them.
Yeah.
All right, now you did it. Now you did it.
155 and counting now. Deptford, this is a huge series for this Delsea defense. Similar scenario earlier in this quarter. 2nd and goal. Johnson hands to Collins. Collins in for the touchdown.
I think Deptford's found a weakness. That Delsea side, the right side of their line. Exploiting it on that series. And that possession, really hammering the ball toward the left with Collins. And as quick as Delsea gets back into this game, they're going to be hard-pressed now to score 2 touchdowns against this team.
It's interesting because Messner is not going to attempt the point after. Now, Delsea has, if they made the extra point, a 2-touchdown lead. Instead, they'll opt to go for 2. Interesting call here. Johnson still with the football, eluding tacklers, and he'll be brought down for a loss. So the score remains 19-6.
Well, see that, Messner? You miss one and you're yanked.
It's funny because Coach Royer really said he had a lot of confidence in Messner. Messner was a soccer player who came over and had not missed an extra point or a field goal coming into today.
You have to wonder, maybe, I don't know, maybe something happened to his foot or something. He's a converted soccer player. Good from about, what they say, 30, 35 yards. They opt to go for 2. So Delsea trails by 13.
My crew tells me it's the backside, but that's by itself.
Let's take a look at the schedule here. This is for Delsea. And you see they're coming off a big win over Overbrook. And Cumberland has really been pounded by just about everybody this year. But you got Highland and then Millville, a Group 4 school, and Gloucester Catholic and Kingsway. This is a tough road for Delsea.
They can pick up some major power points.
Preparing to kick off for Deptford.
Kingsway, Millville, Highland.
The thing about Kingsway this year is you got a pretty good team, and you're not going to get many power points because they have a 1-4 record.
Right, right. Well, Coach, we saw Coach Barchuk before this game. He was pretty happy with the way his team came out and played last night's game.
Well, I think as a coach, you're always looking for improvement, and undoubtedly he saw it last night.
Well, he sees a young team that's going through some growing pains right now, and with a young team, you know what you have coming into a season, and you know what to expect. So a coach coming into his 4th or 5th game to say, you know what, we had a loss, but I'm okay with how they came out and performed. That must tell you something, that he knows how his team was going to come into the season and how they've improved. Actually,
Barchuk, last night in speaking with him, he said that if I would have told him that he'd be 1-3 at that point of the season, obviously
ball's out of bounds on a kickoff, untouched by the receivers.
I mean, he
5-yard penalty,
his team to
re-kick.
perform well. He'd never been in a position where his team was 1-3. So to say that he was disappointment would be a major understatement.
Disappointed in the team's record, I'm sure. In the first 3 weeks of the season, if you see your team is not responding well,
he said,
not playing good ball.
He said, this team is not competing. And as a coach, there's nothing that is more frustrating as a coach, because you have to look inward as a coach all the time and question, what are you doing wrong? And sometimes as a coach, it's not necessarily something you're doing wrong. Coach Barchuk has been successful for so many years. You can't doubt that, again, he did a great job again last night. So kick again, and Hartman still on his feet, and Delsea will come away with much better field position close to their 40-yard line.
Nice day here, Saturday afternoon. Wind is non-existent. Nice temperature.
Perfect.
Great day for football.
1:36 left in this third quarter. And here's Jackson. Jackson will try to cut it back inside. Has some room, still on his feet. And brought down inbounds at about the 46-yard line. 1st and 10 now for the Crusaders.
James Moton, a junior. He is a player. Number 5. You see him there. Got a little dirt on his uniform. He's got the jersey tucked up underneath of him. He is a tough kid. That time throws a great block on the corner. I'm talking about number 5, the ball carrier, or number 5 making the block on that play. I know Jackson's the ball carrier, but Moton really led the way, sealing that corner. We talk about sealing that corner, and especially with these two teams, we want to be able to do that.
Fumble here, able to recover is Dawson, and he'll do what he can to get back to the line of scrimmage, but they'll end up losing 1 or 2 yards.
That's what I'm talking about. Deptford doesn't allow you, bad to say in this game because they do allow the quick strike on the touchdown. But typically, Deptford's not going to allow you to get that quick strike. They're going to make you, 10 yards here, 8 yards here, 6 yards here. They don't give up the big plays. And what happens is what we see here. You have a fumble, you allow the other team to make the mistake,
and you get worn down.
Punting.
And you get worn down.
Right, exactly. And you get worn down. And this Deptford team, as I said, tremendous depth where they can shuffle guys in and out.
Big rush here, and drop for a loss is Dawson. Leafy coming in from the linebacker spot, and Delsea headed in the opposite direction. That'll be the last play of the third quarter. Let's take a look as we go to break.
Leafy just comes. Dawson doesn't even see him until it's too late.
Into the third quarter.
Fourth quarter after the break. Deptford by 13.
Here, take a look at Josh Johns, one of the basketball players here for Deptford. Looks like he might be talking on a cell phone or just maybe just with his hand, just talking to his hand. Yeah, how you doing? I'm all right. Fingers okay. I think he's got a cell right there. It's a cell in his hand. Josh Johns, he's one of the camera guys over at GCIT who did our Tri-County Sports Show last year. We're looking for sponsors for that. So anybody who's interested to sponsor the Tri-County Sports Show to get it on air. That's when we get a couple of kids from the Tri-County Conference on. We talk, have a good time.
Play action pass. Dawson throws it up. Wide open. Has a man at the 25. Still on his feet towards the end zone. Stopped at the 1. Brendan Crenshaw with the big reception. And Delsea successful through the air.
I thought this guy might have some success this season. I really like him 6'2" on the outside. That time he finds himself wide open. Great play call on a third and extremely long. Just airs it out. We talked about Dawson's arm. Well, I think he's answering that call now, Rob. Terrific job by finding the man, getting the ball right there to him. And Crenshaw, terrific separation.
Jeff Green, the free safety, just not there in coverage quick enough. And Crenshaw took advantage. So Delsea answering right back here. Dawson with Moton. First and goal. Moton carries, hit immediately. Moton, touchdown! Moton, the ball carrier. He's had himself quite a game. And now Deptford with just a 1 touchdown lead.
Trailing by 7, they'll go for the extra point here, which will make that decision to go for 2 very important if Delsea should score again.
Kick is up, and the kick is good. That brought rain, but it was good. And now it's 19-13, so Delsea a touchdown and an extra point away from taking the lead. But of course, the hard part is now they have to play defense.
Well, they found a weakness, which is hard to say about the Deptford defense, but they found a weakness going up top with Dawson. Finding a couple holes in the secondary. Again, Dawson, who's had a nice career with Delsea. There you see now. A little bit of talking going on. I think that's Coach Landis talking with some of his secondary players.
Well, that was Green, the free safety, who just didn't get over there in time to give his defensive back some help.
Now Landis talking with Collins and Green.
And number 1, Lance.
They got to fix that thing.
Well, this is the first time this season that any team has scored more than 1 touchdown against Deptford. 3 previous games, Deptford's opponents scored 18 points. So Delsea almost matching that total. Hartman will kick it away. Back to receive, again, the triumvirate of Moore, Owens, and Curry. Kick by Hartman, taken at the 11. Straight up the gut and stopped immediately as Owens hesitated.
They're going to say it down. The ball came loose. They're not going to give it to him. They're going to say he was down. That was a late whistle. I don't know if that ball didn't come out before the whistle.
I don't know if we have a replay of it.
I don't know if we'll be able to hear it. The late call on the whistle, but nonetheless, they're going to say he's down.
Right now, the wheels kind of coming off the Spartan machine. First down and 10. Deptford pinned back. They've enjoyed excellent field position today. Not here. 25-yard line. First and 10. Hand off again. It's Collins. Nothing doing. And you can see that this Delsea coaching staff is fired up. Very animated on the sideline. Again, when Collins looks like he has nothing, he gets 3. Second and 7. High formation, Leafy with Collins. And off again, Collins. Collins met at the line of scrimmage.
But again, met, but he still drives for another couple of yards. Tremendous leg strength.
Well, this is a big play right here for this Delsea defense. They would love nothing better than to generate some more momentum and give themselves an opportunity to put together a drive, eat up some clock, and put themselves ahead. Third down and 7. Leafy with Collins. Johnson rolls out, has time, has a man tipped up, and almost picked off. Looking for Green. It's Hartman, and I tell you what, you got to be careful because Ron Kelly was taunting Green, and that could have easily been a penalty.
There should have been a flag thrown. He was taunting Green the whole time and didn't let up either. There should have been yellow on that play. There's no doubt that should have been a personal foul and sportsmanlike conduct. And that's, you know what, you got to, I know there's just kids, but you got to blast them for that. That's stupid. At this point in time, you have your team a chance, and you do something stupid like that where they stop them, get a penalty, and give Deptford a possible first down. It didn't happen, but it easily could have been called.
Delsea will get good field position here, a low line drive, and that'll be down at the 43-yard line by Curry. First down and 10 for the Crusaders. The Crusaders with good field position, a rarity today.
And I've been calling for us to get a little life into your team. You're excited, but you can't taunt right in the guy's face. You know, you want to celebrate with your teammates and stuff. Maybe run over, do some pump fists and get them excited. But going right into the face of the opposing team in a situation where you could pick up a penalty flag is just stupid.
Well, we've seen how the penalty has hurt Delsea earlier today, and you're absolutely right.
Get 10 seconds to get it.
Confusion, and Dawson calls
timeout requested.
That's going to hurt Delsea. Forced to call a timeout on their first play of the possession. We'll step away. We have ourselves a football game here. 9:45 remaining. Delsea trails Deptford by 6. Welcome back to Deptford High School. Rob Christ along with Shawn Leary. Fourth quarter. Delsea with the football. First down and 10. Right up the gut. A pickup of about 3. Second and 7 for the Crusaders. Moton once again. Stop made by Blemmings. We talked before. Delsea forced to call a timeout there, Shawn, and against Clearview, they called their timeouts very early in the fourth quarter, and as a result, in large part, that's why they lost the game.
Well, they really could have used them against that Clearview team in the fourth quarter. What really hurt them was that fumble. If they hadn't fumbled, they were looking really strong in that fourth quarter against Clearview.
Second down pitch, Moton. Moton strings it outside, cuts it back in, but slips.
Yeah, nothing doing on the outside. Terrific coverage and defense.
You know, let me tell you, the other thing that kills them there is they have a tremendous defensive stop. You generate the momentum, and then you call a timeout. It sucks all the life out of you. And now third down.
All right, man, I got to disagree with you.
I can't underscore how disappointing the coaching staff has to feel in having to burn a timeout there.
I'm sure they are. No one's madder than you, I think.
I'm not a football coach, but I never get that. Start a series. And here, just throwing it up for grabs. Very fortunate to get it out of bounds.
Dangerous he doesn't get the ball knocked out of his hands as he's cocking back to throw. But you're right. You know, it does really suck the momentum out of you. Now, you really stall. You have nothing going for you. You have to punt it away. You know, I agree with you.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, though, Shawn, how important momentum is. And Delsea really didn't have any momentum today. The first opportunity they get momentum, they shoot themselves in the foot. Crusaders now forced to punt it away. Hartman, a high punt. Collins will step away, and that will take a Deptford bounce down at about the 22-yard line.
And now they're forced to make a stop again against Deptford. 7:56 left. They've already burned one timeout, so now, they got obviously 2 left. Still plenty of time. This turned into a good one.
Yes, it has.
New year, better games. Last year, Channel 5 was bad luck. We had some awful games. Started off with West Deptford Sterling this year. We thought maybe, oh no, we're in for it again. But Delsea Clearview turned out to be a good one. And Gloucester Catholic Kingsway, and here we have an outstanding game.
Inside Leafy. 4 or 5 yard gain there. Moton again, always in the middle of things.
Ball advanced to the 26-yard line.
2nd and 5.
Remember, Deptford doesn't have that Calvin Corsi, the big, powerful fullback in the 4th quarter, where you want a big guy like that with the football in his hand, grabbing 3, 4, 5 yards. And on a tired defense, he's really effective. They don't have that.
And around Curry, and he is stopped. Ooh, stood up and stopped. Big collision there, and
that looked like it could have been dangerous on Curry. He was kind of stood up, and you have guys diving at your legs as you're stood up there. That's usually where you can see a guy come down and injured badly. Luckily for Kerry, he was able to walk off.
We take a measurement.
Now we have a official's timeout.
looks like we're going to get a measurement. So, Shawn, here you go. Here's your first call of the night. What do you think?
I
say you got it.
I say just short. Just short. Now you're talking about just short. I'm saying that the referee just a little too short. If he could grow another 2 inches, I think he'd have. I think he'd reach 6 foot. I'm terrible.
Okay.
I'm terrible at these markings.
Just for the record, Chris, 1 for 1. Leary and Ritter, 0 for 1.
Well, that's what I was listening to my director. He's saying just short, and I got to agree with him. I'm not going against him. He's the one that pays me. He says it's just short. It's just short.
First down and 10.
I'm terrible at that. Don't even ask me from now on. I'm terrible at guessing that.
Last night you were bragging about how good you are.
Well, that's because I was 1 for 1 to start off the game.
Leafy continuing to pump the legs. And he'll be close to a first down.
Numbers 1 and 2 prevent him from going further.
This comes down to all about conditioning. All that practice in the heat during the summertime. All the running. Because this is where, you can see where a team may wear down.
Well, if Deptford goes on to sustain drives, essentially this game is over, because not only if they score, but they will eat up a lot of clock. But still plenty of football to go. 6:20 left. Handoff. Collins. Collins finds a small seam, pushing forward to midfield, and Collins will pick up the first down.
Not only are they using clock, but also now at midfield, even if Delsea was to stop them, chances are with a punt, they're not going to get good field position.
First and 10. Barton.
First and 10, Spartans, 6 minutes left. Midfield, I formation, Leafy with Collins. Sheldon Johnson hands, and the belly play to Leafy.
Deptford just blew Delsea off the line on that play. Looked like it might have been a quick snap. Didn't allow Delsea to fire off the ball, and Deptford just dominated him on that play. Tier of the line, center. The guards.
Talk about some
Chris Wood.
Some of the action from last night. West
House.
Deptford continues to impress. Just blew away not a bad Haddonfield team. Many people saying West Deptford perhaps the best team in all South Jersey.
Ball's
Fumble.
out. I think Deptford, got jumped on it.
And Courier Post has a big school, small school poll, which I don't really agree with, but Shawnee, the #1 ranked team, with a big win over Eastern.
Yeah. Township crushing Lenape last night as well. It looks like they bounced back from their loss earlier.
Gateway has played well. Certainly.
Yeah, but Gateway, the Gators.
Yes, may
good for them.
Find themselves in the playoffs. They blanked Haddon Township. We'll have them for you later in the year versus Paulsboro.
Who knows?
Big third down now for Delsea. I formation again, and they may have used too much time. Instead, a timeout is charged to Deptford.
This could be the year of the Gator. It is going to be. I'll tell you what, a lot of people, everyone talks about West Deptford, and who is the best team around this area. Everyone has their different theories. You talk to say, oh, West Deptford, they'll beat them this year, or they would beat them this year. Other people say Deptford's depth is too much for West Deptford to handle. Only one way to find out.
I won't register.
Not gonna happen.
I won't register an opinion.
No, neither will I. Love to see the game, but it's just not going to happen. The one bad thing is West Deptford won't be challenged pretty much. I mean, they have Colonial Conference is just horrible this year. My apologies to all the Colonial Conference teams, but
send your letters to care of Shawn Leary.
The conference is way down, and Group 2 doesn't look to be all that challenging either. But you got to credit West Deptford and what they're able to do. They play who they have to play on their schedule.
Option Johnson into the secondary, and Johnson picks up the first down. In critical situations, they've gone to that option play, and it has worked.
Yeah, great call. Delsea stacking the line, trying to stop the run. They pull it down with Johnson. Let the big fella get to the outside. When he seems to do it effortlessly, the sophomore. Like I said before, he has a lot of composure too. He allows the play to develop, allows his blockers to get downfield, and he gets after. I think we have an equipment.
I think we have some blood.
Oh, blood, a little blood. Yeah. Coming off is Andrew Gezzi, Jr. Wearing that number 44.
Mark Clement.
Or Mark Clement, yeah, either one. Yeah, it would help if I looked at the right roster.
First down to 10. Leafy. Again, it just always seems like there's nothing there, and Deptford comes away with 4 and 5 yards. And you got to credit the offensive line today of Deptford.
Yeah, they're just wearing them down. Just wearing them down 4 or 5 yards per carry. And again, every time Delsea seems to have a little bit of momentum, Deptford erases it immediately. We're very close to it.
Second down, I formation. Leafy gets the fake, and it's Johnson.
Yes,
and look at them, they are tackling the football now.
Johnson sells that fake so well. Sticks it in the midsection and pulls it back out. And he just sells it so particularly well. The linebackers are just frozen.
Well, this drive has been very, very effective. They started on their own 24-yard line and just grinding it out and eating up clock as they go.
See, and they're even get a little bit luckier with, you got 3rd and short, so you get another play to pick up the first down and continue to run clock.
That's a good point. Johnson keeps, and he looks like he'll have enough for the first down.
Still got to get a little lower, though. He kind of stood up a little too much on that play. That time you just want to get him 2 yards. You just want to get 2 yards. He still might have got the first down.
Well, they do get the first down as the ball now at the 20-yard line. 2:30 remaining, and the Delsea coaching staff will have to start thinking about burning their 2 remaining timeouts. Johnson fakes. Now it's Collins. Collins continuing to move that pile. About a 5-yard gain. 2nd down and 5.
How about the Classic division? That's starting to shape up too. You have Glassboro and Shalleck headed for a showdown at some point in time.
Paul Gauze having another fine year. Tremendous basketball talent. We'll have that game for you, Glassboro and Shalleck.
Delsea's going to really have to start thinking about using their timeouts. Now 2nd and 5. They need a play right here. Somebody has to make a stop.
Collins hit in the backfield. Nothing there. And you got to think Delsea calls timeout here.
Remember,
Timeout requested.
Mesner has got range from 30 to 35 yards out.
But again, they did not use Mesner last time to attempt the point after, so you kind of sense that Coach Orio has lost confidence in Mesner.
Well,
obviously you don't want a block kick here.
I don't know if they just didn't want to try to go for the 2 there. I know they missed the 1, so they figured let's go for 2. And it was something was wrong on that play because he kicked it right into the line. I don't know if he's injured or if there's any type of problem with him. But he was pretty much, well, he was perfect up until that 1 bad kick, so I don't know.
Well, right now, if he were to attempt a field goal, it would be just over 30 yards. Strike that, be just about 35 yards. So that's the outer range of his ability. Third down. Collins dropped for a loss. A rare loss this afternoon. Johnson hands off. No, he keeps. Again, the keeper, and he's knocked backwards once again. And Delsea calls timeout.
Timeout requested. Defense.
Oh, this time, the Delsea defense did not bite on the fake. And that'll result in a 4th down decision for Orio and the coaching staff. This deep in the end, you have to think they're going to maybe put the ball in the air. What do you like here, Shawn?
I think you have to try and get the ball to maybe Green on a fade route or something like that. Push him to the inside and allow him to go to the outside and get him into one of those jump ball situations.
Or
still, they have 10 or 11 yards that they have to go for this, so they don't have to go for the end zone. But I would think here, might even go for the jugular. Try and get the touchdown here. Go with Green maybe to the outside or Clement over the middle. Or even a little crazier. How about a little naked boot with Johnson? Maybe get him one-on-one with the defender.
4th down. Johnson looking for the rocket screen inside. Collins with room, cuts it back. Collins on his feet and has enough for the 1st down. Well, Delsea looked like they defended the play, but Collins just a little bit too much for the defense. There you see the play, and Collins, another big gain.
Terrific call. How about the rocket screen? That's a little risky too, because on that rocket screen, you know what, if the defender reads that right, he can go 6 the other way in a hurry. So a risky call, but it pays off. Getting it in your Stars' hands, DeJuan Collins, to seal this game, and Deptford's streak is going to continue and reach 17. They still have Gloucester Catholic and Williamstown, a couple of surprise teams that will be able to compete with this team. But getting through Clearview and Delsea, what a lot of people think are the top teams in the rural division that could contend with Deptford. Deptford right now eyeing another possible undefeated season going into the playoffs. Again, they still have Williamstown and Gloucester Catholic to get through. Nonetheless, they're going to remain undefeated. And for Delsea, They're going to Delsea's going to they stumble again here, but you know they have to realize coming off the field that a couple of plays here or there, and this game could be. You know, this game could be a little bit different. They could have possibly taken and stole one here. So they got to feel good about their confidence. Without Pfeiffer coming into a game against Deptford, they had the opportunity. You know, the opportunities were there. They had the chance with the ball in their own hands to try and come back and tie or win this game.
Well, we'll never know, of course. But again, calling timeout when you have all that momentum, it really hurts you. But
it hurts you, but I don't know if it's a pulling factor.
Delsea played a great football game today, coming up just 6 points shy, amounting more points than any other team thus far this season. But at this point, Sal Marquez, he probably doesn't want to hear about moral victories.
No.
Losing a tough one to Clearview, and again a tough one here against Deptford. But that's indicative of the type of coaching staff that Delsea has, because a man down with Pfeiffer and Delsea battling all the way to the end. As you mentioned, conversely, Deptford on their way to another fine season, and I guess we're going to see 17 push-ups in just a moment, as Deptford now has won 17 straight, and there may be no end in sight, as next week they will go to Cumberland and wreak havoc, I am certain, and then a tough one against Gloucester Catholic. But that'll do it for us here from Deptford High School. For my director, Stan Ritter, my partner, Shawn Leary, I'm Rob Christ. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Again, your final, Deptford defeating Delsea 19-13.